It's a lot to live up to. Be still and know comes from the Bible, and it comes from Psalm 46. And it says, "Be still and know I am God." That doesn't resonate with me at all because I don't know which God they're talking about. There are so many gods out there. But that's not what I wanted to say. But I like the first part, be still and know. And if we look at the ancient Hebrew, that translation, be still, actually means surrender. So what the saying is really give up your mind and just shut up, is what they're saying. Saying, be quiet. Stop listening to the fidgetiness of the mind. And so that's what we're going to be talking about now. How do we be quiet? Can we quiet the mind? Have you tried? Of course you've tried. Does it work? No. Can you will yourself to go to sleep? Can you will yourself to quiet your mind? You can try, but the harder you try to go to sleep, kind of the more it escapes us. There's a surrender, there's a let go, there is a deep exhale. And when we lose ourselves in that exhale, the magic can begin. Now, we've all had these moments of revelation where something has happened. We've seen a sunset that stopped us. And for that brief moment, there was something very special where we knew this is holy, this is divine, this is sacred. We never said it out loud, but we could feel that this was something special, that this ordinary sunset that we see in the evening became special that particular time. And so we've had these moments of specialness. For me, it's going to the desert, and it's taking a chair and walking out into the desert that I've driven on this dirt road for a half hour or more. So I'm in the middle of nowhere. And then to go over the hill so I can't see the car. And there's no roads, and there's no lights, and there's no poles. Occasionally there may be an airplane overhead, but I'm alone. This is solitude. And in that solitude, something alive happens. The desert is not a quiet place. The wind comes up. There's the sound of the bugs. There is the whisper of the wind in the bushes. There's an aliveness there if I take the time to actually see it. And when I take that time, I call that the quieting. And after about 45 minutes to an hour, the mind has become bored of just looking at all this, and there's a settling that happens. And in that settling, the magic comes. And I never know what's going to come. I do know when it's over, I get up, I fold my chair, and I walk off. And I can't tell you what happens in those quiet times because Christopher's not there. Awareness is there, but Christopher is not. I escape from my self in a way, or my illusion of self, or who I think I am. And for those moments, I am with nature. I am nature. There's no separation. For me, this kind of started when I was 4 years old, and I was down in downtown Oakland at the train station with those big steam trains, huge steam trains. And I was holding my dad's hand, and here comes the steam train. And it was like, oh my goodness. I had no words for it. I was awestruck by the power. The ground shakes and the steam and the heat and all of this. And the warmth of my dad's hand. I was safe and I was awed at the same time. It was like, wow, this was really big. And that love of trains continued. And when we go camping in the Sierras up by Donner, there's the train tracks, the Southern Pacific train tracks would go up there. And back in the 50s, the late 40s and 50s, they had these huge steam engines. They have three of them connected together, and it would make the world tremble. And you could hear them coming for miles and miles, the sound echoing through the forest. And when I would hear that sound, I would run through the woods, up the hill, panting, waiting to get up there so I could be the first one to see them. And each time they would go by, I would have this experience of being enveloped in a quiet. As noisy as it was, everything would stand still. And it was this immense machinery clanking by, blowing steam and smoke. And that was the cool part. That was the part that brought me up there to have that experience. But I want to talk about the part that I didn't recognize at the time. I would be so in love with watching those trains come by that I would go up and I would sit by the tracks waiting for a train. And something was given to me in those times of quiet and solitude. And what I mean by that is laying on my back and looking up at the clouds through the trees, smelling the creosote coming off the railroad ties and the tracks, and the smell of the pines, and also the smell of the miner's misery. It's a very distinct smell. And with the buzzing of the afternoon and the wind, the quieting would occur. And in that quiet, something would happen. And looking back, I didn't know it at the time. Looking back, that was truly holy. That was the sacred. That was what I have been yearning for, reaching for my whole life. Those moments of clarity and of no thought. Basically, they were just moments of immersion in life in the mystery. You may have, I'm sure all of you have had experiences where you've looked up at clouds and mesmerized by Mickey Mouse appearing and then transforming into a unicorn or a turtle or something. And you've watched the clouds moved. And for moments, you were very, very quiet, still. Those are the moments that inform us in a childlike way that this world is safe and that the troubles and the problems are all, in a way, made up in our minds. That we take this magnificent world just as it is and we create problems. I guess it's our nature, but it doesn't need to be. Now, can you hold on to these periods of high resolve, of union with the now, these moments when you disappear? You can't hold on to them. It's what you already are. What happens is the mind starts talking again. So there are these periods of quiet, and when it's quiet, you don't realize it's quiet, but you do realize when the mind starts getting noisy again. And so becoming interested in what's that like? What is that like? Those moments of quiet. And if you think about before you wake up and really start thinking about your day, I know for me, if the daylight will come and I start to wake up, and there's those moments before I'm fully conscious and I haven't booted up, the brain hasn't booted up yet. It's a floating where everything is just exactly as it is. There's no thought yet. It's like there's an awareness that day has here and that the waking up is happening. These are very precious moments. And what will happen was the first thought will come. And for me, it's like, what am I going to do? What's to do on my list today? And there'll be a tightening. And I feel it in my stomach. There'll be a slight tightening that, oh, okay, I'm back. I'm back into the world and I have this body and I need to move around in it and get things accomplished, and which is all true. But how am I doing that? How am I going to be doing that in a graceful manner, in a peaceful manner? And so when we talk about the peaceful heart, a peaceful heart knows how to pause and can intentionally focus on the sacred of this moment, for every moment is just as sacred. Life is reduced to its simplicity when we're in this moment. Absolute simplicity. And in that simplicity, there are no distinctions. There's no high, there's no low. There is just this. There are no words like God or self or high or low or spiritual or unspiritual. That all dissolves into what is actually present, this alive moment. This. And it's so easy to miss because we're looking for an answer. We're looking for something we can tie our horse to so we can pull it across the field. I mean, it's all of the activities that we try to do. But is that really what it's all about? Wouldn't it be easier to simply live what we know as opposed to try to figure it out? Now, I've been trying to figure it out for a long time, 60 years. And what I've learned in those 60 years of trying to figure it out, it doesn't need to be figured out. Life happens all by itself. Nature doesn't need our help. The grass grows by itself. What I do know is that walking in the woods alone and seeing a deer in the meadow, and I see the deer and the deer sees me, and we lock eyes. And for that moment, there is the stillness. There are those moments that come, and you've all felt them, where you know you are not deceived, that something miraculous just happened. We're brought to those places by nature, by awe, the places that you know that you can go to bring that back. You can set yourself up to have those kinds of experiences. And so I'm working on the talk yesterday, and I'm thinking, well, okay, I'm going to go for a bicycle ride. I'm going to set myself up for some of these experiences. I'm going to invite them. I don't know how they're going to show up, but I'm going to invite them. So I'm sitting down and I'm cleaning my chain on the bike, and I oil it every time I ride. And I'm putting the drops on each link. And there's 110 links. So it's kind of like the mala beads. Or the rosary beads. It's kind of a ritual I do. I'm going, wow, oiling my chain is sacred. There it was. I invited an experience, and there it was. It popped up. Something recognized that in this moment, the oil that drops on each chain, each link, is special. And I'd never seen that before. I'm going, wow, that's pretty good. That'll preach. And so I'm continuing on the bicycle ride. I'm going, well, I wonder what else is going to happen. Usually, about halfway through, it's time to have a bio break. And I stop and put the bicycle down. And I'm standing, and it's usually way out in the woods. This is out behind Lake Chabot. It's beautiful out there. And when we stop, and the activity for me is the bounding of the bicycle and the dirt and the sounds and all of that. When I put the bicycle down and I'm just standing still in the woods, what happens? There's an aliveness, there is a gap. I can hear the wind. I can smell the smells I haven't been able to smell before because I wasn't quiet. So there was the stopping of what I was doing, and there was a listening, and I become enveloped in nature in that moment. And I would miss that if I didn't stop during the whole bicycle ride. So the important thing to get is when we stop, when we consciously stop, it's an opportunity every time to look. What's alive and real? What's alive and real right now? Now, some of you have, not some of you, all of you perhaps have felt the longing. It's the ache for some kind of a union, of a connection. It looks like, for me, that was um, I need to have a partner. I need to have love in my life. I need to be hugged. I need to be held. And that's fine, but it's more than that because you can be held and loved so much, and it's never enough. Kabir talks about nothing satisfies like a meeting with the guest. And the guest he is referring to as the beloved, what he refers to as a sacred union with the mystical, or we could call it with God, we could call it with contemplative experiences. And when you know that, it doesn't mean that the longing goes away. It almost becomes greater. It starts to rise within us. And so the longing is part of the journey. It has always been there. And it's that sort of piece of coming home to the quiet. And so we look at death as a barrier, as something that's, we don't want anything to do with it. But death is also part of this dance. And if you look at it, when you can invite all of your friends up into your deathbed so that you won't feel alone. You can invite everybody around and we can sing and we can praise and we can love you up. But you're going to die alone. And we don't realize that we're that alone right now. And when we start to know the silence and the solitude, something happens. Death no longer seems like a separation because you've known death before you die. That's a tall order, but that's what Ramana Maharshi did when he discovered, when he was 16 years old and one of his family members died, and he was so distraught that he just said, I'm going to die. I want to see what this is like. I'm laying down. I'm not moving. I want to know. And he discovered, what's it like when you go into the depths? So we're talking about being still and knowing. And what I mean by that, and this is the conclusion, what I mean by that is when you know something, you're not able to really talk about it. You can't describe the taste of water. You can't describe the feeling when you hear rain on the roof or on the window and how it warms your heart. You know it, but you can't talk about it. And so the idea of listening and listening very carefully, that this is our opportunity, and we get a chance to do this every single day. Every single moment is a chance to see the sacred in what's happening right now. Mm. Yeah. As a child, we've all listened to the rain. We've all been fascinated by birds. And we know that that's special. But can we trust that specialness to lead us through our lives? That this special, ordinary moment is enough. Not only enough, it's what we've been looking for, and it's hidden right before us. So with that, we're going to do an affirmation. It goes like this. Be still and know. The knowing that can't be spoken, but it can be lived. Let us remember and live from our moments of high resolve, that we become more loving, more tender, and more available to this sacred mystery. May we become more quiet and trust our peaceful heart. And so it is.